Joe Biden has announced his running mate, and that individual, unsurprisingly, I think, is Kamala Harris. I think from the get-go, I assumed that it would be Kamala Harris, and we kind of went back and forth between whether or not, he might choose someone else like Gretchen Whitmer, maybe even Karen Bass. But it's Kamala Harris, and this is basically who I expected him to choose. Now, he announced this via Twitter, saying, "I have the great honor to announce that I've picked Kamala Harris, a fearless fighter for the little guy and one of the country's finest public servants, as my running mate. Back when Kamala was Attorney General, she worked closely with Beau. I watched as they took on the big banks, lifted up working people, and protected women and kids from abuse. I was proud then, and I'm proud now to have her as my partner in this campaign." Now, I have two different takes on this. My first is that I think that politically, whether or not this is smart, I think it doesn't necessarily matter who he chooses as his VP. Wasn't necessarily, in my opinion, going to be enough to really change the trajectory of this election. But my personal choice is, the only people who I really would have preferred, Nina Turner, Bernie Sanders. That's what would have appeased me, or who would have appeased me specifically. And I did not expect to be pleased either way. I mean, I knew he was going to pick someone who's a neoliberal corporate Democrat with a terrible track record, but at least, moving on to whether or not I feel like this is a strategically savvy move, I will say, sure, at least Kamala Harris, like in comparison with other individuals who he was previously considering, like Amy Klobuchar, at least Kamala is someone who is more charismatic, right? I think that when she tries to be, is actually a talented, political speaker. At the beginning of the 2020 Democratic Party primary, I think that she really was ahead of the pack because she was so talented at, talking about policy. She was unapologetically progressive until she took a little bit of heat from health insurance companies. Then she backed away from Medicare for All. But I mean, I think that, in comparison with other options, she is someone who I think is more charismatic. So, if I'm Joe Biden, I think it's a fine choice. Do I feel any excitement about Kamala Harris? No. Is this a more strategically savvy pick than Hillary Clinton choosing Tim Kaine? Yes, because you could literally choose anyone, substitute Tim Kaine with anyone, and it probably would have been better. Like, I think a lot of people forget that Tim Kaine even exists. So, look, I'm not shocked by this at all. When we got the news that he'd likely be making an announcement today, I told myself, oh, okay, so he's going to announce Kamala today. Finally. No more, will he or won't he announce today? No more, oh, well, who's it going to be? I know that there were a lot of lefties who were even a little bit excited about the possibility of him choosing Karen Bass. I never thought that would actually happen. I don't know how seriously he was vetting her. I'm assuming it was relatively seriously based on how much coverage she got. But even if he chose her, that's someone that wouldn't satisfy me. I mean, she was on, I think it was MSNBC or CNN, one or the other, talking about how, she supports Medicare for All, which is great, but Biden isn't wrong for not supporting Medicare for All. So whoever he would have chosen, it would have been someone who aligned with his neoliberal pro-corporate agenda. So it's not like this is going to change very much from the standpoint of me as a leftist, right? I don't think that this is going to change the trajectory of this election in terms of if it helps him or hurts him going up against Donald Trump. I don't necessarily know. Kamala Harris, she does kind of have this cult following, so perhaps that's going to be beneficial to Joe Biden, who has almost no enthusiasm around him. So I don't necessarily think this is going to hurt him. If anything, I think that there's a possibility that this helps him. But I just want to say, we've got to give a shout out to Elizabeth Warren, who threw away everything, all so she could possibly be Joe Biden's VP, when being Bernie Sanders' VP would have almost certainly been a sure bet. But now she is powerless, and she watered down Medicare for All, her own proposal to appeal to Joe Biden, and it was all for absolutely nothing, because we got the result that I think pretty much everyone expected. It's Kamala Harris. Now, from a policy standpoint, I have done many comprehensive breakdowns on this channel about my issues with Kamala Harris, about her time as a prosecutor, and there is a lot of concerns. So there is the possibility that she's vulnerable in the sense that if Trump wants to promote, his First Step Act and promote his own criminal justice record, if he pivots away from this tough on crime, thing that he's currently on, that could be an issue, right? Her, laughing off the prospect of legalizing weed. There's a lot that could leave her vulnerable to attacks from Republicans, but I don't necessarily know that they're going to be able to sufficiently pull off a persuasive attack against Kamala Harris's tough on crime record, given Trump's current, law and order stance that he's taking unequivocally. So, in the end, this is exactly what I expected. It's not necessarily surprising to me. And I don't really care. Like, let me just be clear. Like, I genuinely don't care. To me, like, this wasn't going to, like, let's even assume for a moment that Joe Biden chose Elizabeth Warren, which is what a lot of lefties were clamoring for. I shouldn't say a lot, but some lefties were clamoring for, like Mehdi Hassan and whatnot. Even if he chose Elizabeth Warren isn't going to somehow convince him to be more leftist. She's going to, jeopardize her own principles to accommodate Joe Biden's policy positions. So any VP would have done the same thing. So I'm not surprised by this. It kind of goes to show you that Kamala Harris is a fake opportunistic politician, because she really, out of the gate, hit Joe Biden the hardest out of all of the other Democratic Party primary contenders. And here she is, his VP. But it is what it is. It doesn't necessarily matter to me. It doesn't change my opinion about Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. It just is a thing that I expected, and the result that we all got, love it or hate it. So yeah, Kamala Harris is Joe Biden's running mate. Let me know if you're surprised, because I'm not shocked at all, to be honest.
And that little girl was me.